The best in e-commerce. You're listening to E-Commerce All-Stars with Josh Marsden.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to E-Commerce All-Stars. I've got an awesome episode for you today. I've got Alan Brouwer here, and Alan's got an incredible backstory and an incredible business. For one, he was dead broke at one point, making $800 per month, living in a motel, which I want to hear more about. And now he has an 8-figure international e-com brand, Best Self Co., which you may have heard of. He won the Shopify Build a Business competition and numerous other awards with Shopify. He's also been on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and also he's been mentored by Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, and Daymond John. These are like nobodies in the entrepreneur world. Kidding, but he's been underneath them and learning a lot from them, over the past several years. So he's definitely done quite a bit, in his time in business. So I'm really excited to have him. I know you guys are as well. He's got a ton of wisdom he's going to be sharing with you. So Alan, welcome to E-Commerce All-Stars.
Josh, thank you for having me, man. I'm excited for this.
Awesome, man. You didn't even crack at all a smile when I said those guys were nobody.
Yeah.
You're just like, what's this guy talking about? He thinks this is funny? It's all good. But dude, I really do want to hear that story, man. How did you go from dead broke, $800 per month, living in a motel to where you're at today?
Well, there's a long journey there, but it started with just taking 100% ownership of my life. The reason I ended up being dead broke and living in a motel was because I was blaming external circumstances for what was happening in my life. Mm-hmm. So whether it was my boss or my family or my upbringing or just the economy or whatever it was, I always kept blaming anybody but myself. And it wasn't until I turned that around and said, hey, this is 100% on you. You're the only person who put yourself in this situation, and you're the only person who can get yourself out. Literally within weeks, everything started turning around.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, what was it that was the catalyst that caused you to get to that point with yourself?
What was the catalyst that rock bottom moment?
Yeah, what caused you to all of a sudden one day just say, you know what, I own everything?
Yeah, so it was a series of things happening. So it was in December. My wife's, who was my fiance at the time, it was her birthday in December. I didn't even have enough money to afford a card to give her. My Christmas was coming. I had no presents for any of my family or friends. My truck needed a whole bunch of work. It needed to be registered with the state. I was sort of doing this illegal thing where it's still registered in South Carolina, but I was in New Jersey and this whole thing because I didn't want to pay registration and everything like that. And I had negative $44 in my bank account. And I remember the day I filmed it and I said, I no longer want to feel this way ever again. Yeah. And I just felt hopeless and just literally it was the day that I hit rock bottom. And yeah. I'm so happy that I filmed that day. Literally just being totally honest with myself and just saying, hey, Alan, I'm recording this video to sort of hold myself accountable to myself and say, I will never let you feel this way ever again. And literally that was the day.
The shift. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you still have that video saved somewhere if you ever want to refer to it or ever need to refer to it?
So it took me a little while to share that with the world, but I ended up putting it on my site in the About Me page, and it's up on YouTube.
Wow, that's cool.
Yes. So it's still a little sore spot, kind of, I feel vulnerable, but the response that I get from that video alone is oh my gosh, I'm where you are right now. Thank you for creating this. Or, hey, I saw this video 6 months ago and this helped me get through the shit that I was going through. And yeah, it's all positive stuff.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to put yourself out there and, show vulnerability, especially to the world, on the internet. So it takes some massive courage, to do that. It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And when was that exactly? Like, how long ago are we talking about here?
That was 2014.
Okay.
2014.
Okay.
December 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Dang. And then, so what happened after that? So you made that shift, internally. You were able to, really just take ownership of everything in your life and in business at the time, I'm sure. Like, how did you go from that to where you're at now? Like, what are some specific maybe things that have happened that were like you see as like big dominoes that led to where you're at right now?
Sure. So there was one, just like taking a couple leaps of faith and just believing in myself. That was number one. So I had a digital, I picked up my first client as a digital marketing consultant. Like, I knew digital marketing. I understood it. It's what I was doing in corporate before like going down this like rock bottom path. So I understood it, and I came with a background. I got my first freelancing client. And that sort of like brought me out of the mud, I guess you could say. And I'm like, okay, now once I got my feet planted, now I can figure out what to do next. Then I met my business partner, Catherine, and we started this sounds awful, but an Amazon company. It wasn't an Amazon company. It was a home goods company, but our distribution was through Amazon. Okay. So we would white label products from China, do a full rebrand, and then sell them on Amazon.
Cool. Okay.
So with those two things that I had going on, my consultancy and then the Amazon business, I started getting a lot more traction.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and then, finding Catherine, because finding a business owner is never easy. How did that go about? How'd you guys find each other, and how'd you guys even come to the point of deciding to be business partners?
Yeah. So Catherine and I met in an entrepreneur program online. So I was, I live in like the suburbs. There's not really many people here who are in like an entrepreneur hub. So it's not like New York City or Austin, Texas, or San Diego or Denver or Boulder. It's not like that. Yep. So I needed a peer group. So I signed up for this entrepreneur program. And once a week, we had these weekly calls with a small group, like a little mastermind of these people going through this program. And Catherine was on that call. Yeah. And, nice. And we realized, we realized that we were the only two people taking action in our mastermind group. Mm-hmm. And we're like, all right, we got to stick together. And we ended up becoming accountability partners. Cool. And we were accountability partners for a year. And we were accountability partners for a year. And before we decided to be business partners. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So how did Best Self Co. then come out of that? Like yours. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So it came out organically, I guess. So because I was running two companies simultaneously, the consultancy and the Amazon business, mm-hmm. I needed a way to like collect my thoughts and figure out what I'm doing on a daily basis. Yep. So I just wanted to get extremely productive during the day. Okay. And I took a blank moleskin and mapped out a structure for my day that allowed me to be really intentional with my time, bake in some gratitude in there, have my goals in front of me on a daily basis so I can see them. So I'm always working towards them. And I was co-working in New York City with Catherine, pulled it out, and she's like, oh, what is that? I'm like, oh, well, this is like how I structure my day to make sure like we get everything done in the company was called Fishbone. Make sure we get everything done with Fishbone and my company and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh my gosh, she reaches into her bag and boom, slams on the desk, like 8 different day planners. She's like, I've tried them all. They don't work. I know. That's why that's why I have to like take a blank notebook and create my own. Nice. And she had some really good ideas to like put into it. So we decided to create this for ourselves. So we didn't have to keep writing in a blank day planner or a blank book. And we reached out to some friends and said, hey, would you buy this if we created it? They said, how many can I get? How quickly can I get it? And can I invest? And we're like,
nice.
Wow. Let's launch on Kickstarter. So then we launched on Kickstarter. That blew up, not just like by magic, by hard work leading up to it. Yeah. And we realized that we were onto something there, and we ended up selling the Fishbone company and just double downing on what is today Best Self.
Sure. Yeah. That's awesome. And that's been your biggest like success to date, right? Is Best Self Co?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome, man. Well, cool. So what are like, some high level strategies that you feel like really went into like the growth of the business that you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience?
Sure. So there is a series of things that have happened along the way. When Catherine and I first started, it was just us. Now we've got a team of 9. We've got a fulfillment center in the UK, 2 in the US, 1 in Australia, 3 Shopify stores that we're running simultaneously. This is a larger operation than when we first. So there was some trial and error along the way to get here. But the first thing that we decided to do was just like double down and just acquire as many customers as possible. Yeah.
Were there any like very specific strategies when it came to your customer growth that you guys like really hone in on and really like just double down on that led to, you having like a high amount of customers coming in, with your marketing and your funnels?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that we did was we got really niche in who we were talking to. Okay. So we were talking to entrepreneurs, business owners, freelancers. That was our market. Nice. And we just got really specific, and we talked about the pains that they're facing. We talked about a solution or like what the future could look like and how they can bridge that gap. And the bridge in the gap was our products.
Nice.
Okay. And what we found was, this was what now, 2016, 2016, when we launched our first store on January 1st. And, we just started running Facebook ads to specific target audiences, figuring out what our cost per acquisition was, figuring out what our ROAS was, and just really understanding those numbers, bringing people through a funnel, retargeting, pulling them back. How can we increase the lifetime value? Implemented a subscription model.
Nice.
Sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And
that's awesome,
so early on, I got a mentor who taught me media buying. Okay. So I was doing all the media buying when we first launched. And he said something that was really interesting, and it stuck with me. He said, what would you rather have? Would you rather have $100,000 business that was putting $100,000 profit in your pocket every year? Or would you rather have $1 million business with $100,000 profit that was putting money in your pocket every year? Both are the same amount of money in your pocket, just one's has more revenue.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, is this a trick question? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, well, listen, when people go and if we look at evaluations of businesses, the value of this asset is more valuable with the $1 million business generating $100,000 of profit than $100,000 revenue and $100,000 profit business.
Yep.
Because it means you have more customers underneath you that you can then resell other products to when you launch them.
Yep.
It also means that you could sell those customers to a potential buyer later on, and your valuation is going to be bigger because it's more of an asset.
Right.
So that really sort of hit the switch for me of like, all right, let's not take any money out of the business and let's leverage every dollar that we have to acquire our next customer.
Sure.
And then acquire our next customer And like that just compounded really quickly.
That's huge. I mean, that's a strategy right there. I mean, and that's a huge strategy because, I'm sure that a lot of e-commerce business owners and just business owners in general, they don't necessarily think that way, long term. They're probably taking more money out of the business than they possibly should, and it's just restricting their growth. So it sounds like you guys really just made a good decision, a sound decision to take, all your profits, put it right back into the business, right back into advertising basically. So this way you can just keep buying more and more customers and keep growing your customer, base. Does that sound right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And you guys grew really fast too. So you started January 2016.
Yeah.
Where was your business at a year after that?
A year after that, we ended that year at 2.4 million in revenue. I think we had just under 100,000 customers then.
Yep. Okay. Nice.
Something around there.
Yeah. That's powerful. The fact that, you just going back to that strategy you just shared, I mean, that result in 1 year is attributed to the fact that you guys use all your profits towards just advertising and getting more and more customers. This way you guys can really scale the business very fast. That's huge. That's definitely huge. And then scaling your business with, processes and systems and people, can you tell us a little bit more about how you were able to do that?
Yeah. So we were really big on processes and systems, and, granted, our tools that we create are processes and systems of themselves. Right. So this is stuff that we like, Sure. So early on, we're like, okay, how can we optimize and leverage our time? So we're not rinsing and repeating the same thing all the time. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was putting together structures and SOPs, standard operating procedures, that we can then hand off to virtual assistants or to 1099 contractors or employees once we got to that point, our process and our way of doing things. Nice. And but before we even got to hiring people and this and that, we created this structure for ourselves, because it just reduced the amount of mental bandwidth that was taking for us to do things that were repetitive. So say we needed to do something once a week, we would just create a system around it. And now we follow the checkpoint system whenever we went to go do it once a week. So we weren't going in there, oh, what did I click? Or how did I do this again? I just did this last week, but I feel like I'm missing something. It was just really simple for us to just go in, bang it out, and then rinse and repeat. So the way we think about that is, how often am I doing this project or this task? And if I'm doing it on a daily basis, definitely create an SOP around it. If I'm doing it on a weekly basis, definitely create an SOP around it. If I'm doing it on a monthly basis, create an SOP around it. So if you do it on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, create an SOP. Yeah. And what happens here is now going back to building that asset. Not only do you have customers that are valuable, now you have systems that are valuable for the business itself. So it's just another asset for the business. It just makes the business that much more stronger.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, it saves you a lot of time too, as a business owner, you and Catherine, when you have those systems in place. And then you could also, put your team members on certain responsibilities, that's applicable to their roles. And you can say, here, this is how to do it, with those processes, which is super valuable. And I know you've come up with a very innovative kind of framework around this. You were telling me a little bit about it before we jumped in this interview. I thought it was an awesome topic just to unpack, because I just know how much value this can provide for the audience. Do you think maybe you can tell the audience a bit about that framework that we were talking about before we jumped into the interview?
Yeah. So we're sort of organically just talking about it naturally, but the system's called the Life System. I've sort of taken a step back from my past 3 years in growing this e-commerce company, is this international brand, and saying, okay, what were the key fundamentals to get us here? And I've broken it down into 4 key things. the acronym LIFE. One is leverage every dollar you have to acquire a new customer. We've already talked about that. Implement SOPs and processes to help streamline the business and make it more valuable. Find and retain top talent is huge. I can't tell you how many times we think about, oh my gosh, we have to hire another person. And it's just like this wrench in your stomach. You're like, not again.
Hiring process, such a pain in the butt sometimes.
Yes. But if you can do it right and do it well, it's so rewarding.
Totally.
And then the final piece, E, is elevate the customer experience.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
What was L again? I'm sorry.
Leverage every dollar you have to acquire a new customer.
Gotcha. Okay. And you kind of talked about that a bit. Is there anything more to that you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience? Just when it comes to that specific area of your framework?
Yeah. So I think the best way you should think about that is really understand your numbers, really understand the core numbers across everything. We're talking e-commerce here. So what's your lifetime value? What's your average order value? What's your profit margin with that average order value? Then understanding, so like that's on your end. How can you figure that out? Then on the advertising side, okay, how much does it cost me to acquire a customer? So customer, cost per acquisition, CPA.
Yeah.
So what's the CPA there?
Yep.
What's the return on ad spend?
Nice.
That's a big metric to look at.
Yep.
And once you know all of those, you can feed it back into your average order value, lifetime value, repeat customer rate, and figure out, okay, does this back out? Am I profitable on first purchase? Am I profitable on second purchase? Where do I really make the profit after everything washes out? Meaning getting products landed, which means from your manufacturer to your fulfillment center.
Yep.
And then shipped, which means from your fulfillment center to your customer. And there's costs in between there.
Right.
So figuring out how you can back that out, plus advertising, this and that, really can help you narrow down how much money you can put back into advertising.
Yeah.
And grow the business.
Nice. I hear you.
If you don't do this, just start tracking this on a weekly basis. On a weekly basis, make sure you have all these numbers, just track it. And now you can start setting baselines for yourself and say, okay, we did better than we did last week. Cool. Let's keep doing what we're doing. I think a lot of people are just like running and gunning, and I've seen a lot. Just start tracking things. A Google spreadsheet is a beautiful thing.
You're listening to E-Commerce All-Stars. We'll be right back after this message.
E-Commerce All-Stars.
Do you want the best results possible for your business using Facebook advertising? By listening to this show, you know the impact that listening to some of the best and brightest in e-commerce can have for your business. Right now, you can do the same for your Facebook advertising in Josh's powerful new book. In this book, some of the best Facebook advertisers for e-commerce that have collectively spent millions on advertising have revealed their powerful strategies and tips for getting the most out of every dollar spent on Facebook ads. Every contributor has also given their wisdom on how your business can stay ahead of the trends happening right now, so you can win into 2019 with Facebook ads without risking advertising dollars. Molly Pittman, J. Trevor Chapman, David Schloss, Sam Bell, Josh Marston, and many more have truly given their best stuff in this book, Facebook Advertising Trends and Strategies for E-Commerce, the 2019 edition.
The best in e-commerce. E-Commerce All-Stars.
Why do you think that, some people just struggle with that, in your experience?
Because who likes staring at numbers and spreadsheets? I don't, but now I've sort of changed the way that I like looking at the numbers and spreadsheets, because now I can add meaning to those numbers and say, oh, this is what this really means to the business. This is what this really means to the company.
Sure.
Only because I've done it for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I like looking at numbers just because they give me security. You know, when I look at my spreadsheet for my business, you know, it allows me to project, it allows me to, you know, just, like I said, feel security, just feel calm. So this way I have more control. I feel like I have more control when I look at numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? So perfect example is like, it has nothing to do with business, but when do you feel anxious? When you haven't looked at your bank account and you don't know how much money's in there. Yep. And you're at the store when you're like, oh, well, I don't know how much money I have because I haven't looked at my bank account. Well, here's a quick way to like get sure on how much you can spend. Look at your bank account, see how much money you have, and just like go from there.
Yeah, I agree. So I was implementation, I believe, right?
Yes. I was, implement SOPs and processes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, you know, do you have some tips maybe you could offer to the audience when it comes to, you know, creating SOPs, creating processes? I know, you know, it might be kind of hard to, you know, give, you know, some specifics on this just because, you know, SOPs processes is about, you know, looking at your business and, you know, figuring out exactly like what you do that's repeatable and then putting it into a document. But is there like maybe some innovative strategies maybe that you guys applied to your business that allowed you guys to get your SOPs done as efficiently and also as fast as possible so you could be in the position where you're in with your business?
Totally. So when it's just you, if you're like the solopreneur, if it's just you and like a founder or something like that, what you can do is just record what you're doing on like a Zoom or a ScreenFlow, whatever it is, and then send that to a VA who specializes in creating SOPs. Nice. And you'll pay them like $6 or $7 an hour to do this. And that's all they do. They watch the video, and as they're watching the video, they'll take screenshots and everything and say, click here, do this, you know, enter this here. And they'll be able to create that process for you. There's hundreds of
that's cool.
Do this. So that's one real way to like reduce the overwhelm that it takes to create.
How did you find like a VA that would do that? You know, I mean, a good VA that would do it the way to a point where you're 90% happy with. Let's just put it that way. Like, how did you go about doing that?
So this is actually really interesting. So I hired a VA to help manage my inbox. I didn't want to deal with email anymore. And I just needed a VA who can handle email and just handle some personal tasks for me. So like do some research on companies or competitors, maybe just do my personal shopping and figure out like what items I should be buying or this and that. And then I presented, hey, you know, I've got this, I need to create some SOPs. And they're like, oh yeah, we do this. Like, I'm like, oh, amazing. So it just happened to come around. Like, this is what we do.
Yep.
But I would, if you're starting from scratch, just say, any virtual assistant that's a project manager, any virtual assistant that runs virtual assistants. So that's what my company is that I use for VAs. Like, it's a VA firm that runs VAs. Yeah. So like they are built on SOPs and processes.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. So that was really beneficial.
Gotcha. Well, what's the name of the company that you have that relationship with?
You know, I don't know the name of the company off the top of my head, but I can
get. I know a few companies like that. I know there's.
I know it. I know
the Barber's company that does that.
Yeah, so it's called I Need a Mishi.
I Need a Mishi.
Yeah.
What a name.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, that's cool. All right. Well, that makes sense because it just saves you a lot of time as a business owner doing that. And it's also extremely efficient to do it that way. Now, when you first started having your VA doing this.
So it's I need an MICHEE.com.
Wow. Say the last part one more time, the spelling.
Yep. So I need a MICHEE.com.
Mishi. Okay. Well, that's a unique name. Now, were you happy right away with the SOPs you were getting back, or did you have to coach to get that VA to produce SOPs you were happy with?
Some SOPs we got back was just like, oh, perfect. Other SOPs we walked through and we're like, oh, wait, this doesn't make sense. We're missing a piece here.
Okay.
It's important to go through those SOPs after they're created. That's the reason that they're there, right? So when you're actually using the SOPs now, you can say, oh, wait, something's wrong here. Or, oh, this software has been updated and this feature is no longer here. It's now tucked in this menu or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to as the owner because, that's, you're putting your stamp on your company, with those systems and processes. Like that's a reflection of you as a business owner, those systems and processes. So in my opinion, you do have to be like 100% happy with the result if you were to delegate it out to a VA or a project manager to do those. So you have to review everything, right?
100%.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, and then what was F again? F was
find and retain top talent.
So that's a challenge, obviously for a lot of business owners. How do you find like top talent and how do you keep top talent? 2 questions there.
Sure. So finding top talent, the best people that we have on our team actually came from our list.
Okay.
Came from our customer list. They understood the business. They understood our brand. They understood the value it provided. And when we sent an email saying, hey, we're looking for this person, do you know anyone who fits this model? A lot of people raised their hands and said, hey, I'd be interested in this. This sounds awesome. So that's the best. We've also found people from AngelList, people from HireMyMom.com, and people from where else? Those are the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if a business has the advantage of being able to go out to their own list, then that's obviously a huge place to get good candidates that are also passionate about your brand and also know your brand.
Yes.
Do you have any tips for maybe business owners that can't do that?
Yeah, you can use the portals that I said. So like AngelList has a lot of like ops people, marketing, product people. Hire My Mom is more like admin, SOP, systems, project managers.
That's cool.
Moms are great project managers.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's awesome. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So for the process of like finding people though, it's weeding through people extremely quickly. So you're not wasting your time. So what normally happens and what's happened to us several times is that we've hired like a friend, who's also like an aspiring entrepreneur or something like that. And what we found was we've just trained this person for 3 months. They finally just got up to speed with our company. They can finally self-manage themselves. And then they're like, oh, thanks guys. I'm out of here. My business is finally like cranking and, I'm going to go focus on this. And we're like, what is going on? So then we try it again and we like bring people up to speed. And then 3 months later, we'd have to they say, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, I don't like this. I just did it because you're my friend, blah, 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 or something like that. It's the worst. So having a system around hiring is really beneficial. Sure. So we use a combination of Who, which is like top grading. So read the book Who, for those that don't know. And we also use like a system-based process to funnel people through before that Who interview or that top grading interview. Which streamlines how much time we're spending on vetting, hiring, interviews, this and that.
Which is huge, because I think that a lot of business owners are hesitant, to interview and, just hire people because it's time consuming. And they don't want to, waste time with underqualified candidates. What's your process look like, leading up to them getting to that point where they can actually sit in front of you in an interview?
Yeah. So the process is, Job opening. So like have it written in the voice of your company. So every company is a little unique. Ours is a little bit more playful. We like to have fun. We're entrepreneurs, but we work hard, but we play hard too. Mm-hmm. So that comes across in our opening, and people can pick up on that. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is interesting. It's not like boring nonsense, right? At the bottom of that job opening, there's a call to action. That call to action is email jobs at Best Self Co. or jobs at whatever company with the subject line X, Y, and Z, like I am your marketer or I'm your project manager, and then have them put in a link to their Facebook or LinkedIn account.
Okay.
In the body.
Yep. Nice.
So then what you do is you set up filters inside Gmail that says, okay, anybody who's emailing jobs at bestself.co with this subject line, search for a Facebook link or a LinkedIn link. And if they don't meet the subject line or the body, send it to junk and send an automatic reply that says, hey, thank you. We're reviewing your responses. Don't reply back to this email. If they do meet the criteria, because right now you could tell they can't follow directions.
Right.
So that's easy. Boom.
Right.
If they do meet that criteria, it sends them a follow-up sequence that says, hey, thank you for applying. Please fill out this application form here, which is a Google form or a type form. And that has open-ended questions. And we keep those open-ended. So like, tell me who you are, tell me why this was interesting to you, this job, tell me about some challenges that you had to overcome, tell me about some wins that you've had in your life. And because it's open-ended, people can just start telling you a little bit more detail. Once you get a bunch of those, right now you haven't talked to anybody. Once you get to those, you just export the Google sheet or the spreadsheet from Typeform. Mm-hmm. And now you can read everyone's responses and give them all the responses a weighted score of 1 to 5 in the spreadsheet, and then tally up the scores at the end, sort by highest number. Now you have your top 3 candidates who had the best answers for you, and you just reach out to them and say, hey, schedule 15 minutes with me.
Yeah. Wow.
Now the 15-minute call is just a gut check. Let's see if this person can put sentences together. Let's see if they're a real human being. Like, let's just see who this person is. And now you're only spending 15 minutes of your time just with that person.
That's huge. That's a really awesome process, man. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. That's super valuable. And then the last, letter E for exciting customers, right? What are some unique things that your company does to really excite customers and provide that, exceptional customer experience?
Sure. But before we jump into that piece, I didn't answer your second part of your question. How do you keep
them? Yeah. Thank you.
Because that's a huge one. So you just got them. How do you keep them? That's the big one, right? Right. Don't go anywhere. Help.
I'm glad you stopped me, man.
So in 2017, I did nothing except read management books and try to figure out, like, how can I better manage my team? We're a 100% remote company. It's difficult. I don't see everyone on a daily basis. We operate in Zoom and Slack. Yeah. We have a meetup twice a year. So that's really not a lot of FaceTime. So how can I inspire my team to, like, work hard, give 110%, be passionate about the stuff that they do, bring a level of standards that we have to their role. Yeah. The first thing that you do is you set core values for your business that everyone has to follow. Okay. Our core values are right here. Nice. There's 5. Default to action, always assume positive intent, absolute ownership, thrive in discomfort, best is our standard. And everyone has to meet those. And if they don't meet them, they're not part of the team. It's a privilege to be working with us, and you have to meet these standards when you come into your role. And these are the values that we hold in the business. people get inspired when you tell them about your values. And they're like, yes, I want to be a part of this. Like, oh, that's my last company just put me in a cubicle. And
which shows it's a real company with real vision, and you guys have real character. And, you know, that's something people want to be a part of typically.
Absolutely. So there's that. And then a great book that I picked up and learned a ton from is Leaders Eat Last. And that book has changed how I interact with my employees and team members. And it's just made me shift a little bit to be more compassionate about what's happening outside of the business in their life, and find out more about their friends, their family, where they're traveling to, their kids, their husbands, their wives, what's going on, what special events are they having, what are they looking forward to, and just like diving into the more personal aspect, which seems counterintuitive because we've been brought up to keep business and pleasure separate, blah, blah, blah. But when you blend the two together, it shows that you care about these people that are working for you, and then they'll be able to care about your business that much more.
True. Yeah. It's a hard line to walk on, at least for me. You know, I mean, I grew up with a military, you know, father. And so, you know, he's very business, you know, and he separates, you know, personal from business. And even when I became a manager in my Fortune 500, you know, company experience, you know, he told me, you know, don't hang out with your employees. And so, you know, how do you walk that fine line? You know, it sounds like you do a really good job with it.
I mean, I feel like, so I thought that too, like, don't hang out with your employees, don't hang out with your coworkers and like this and that. But like, you're spending so much time with these people on a daily basis, more time than you spend with your family. I'd hope they'd be someone that you want to hang out with. You know, like there has to be some connection there. Right. So that's a big piece. Also, I feel like just being open about it and sort of so there's the distinction between work-life balance and work-life harmony. So work-life balance means that there has to be equal parts work, equal parts life, and sometimes the weight is skewed a little bit and one sacrifices due to the other and vice versa. Yeah. And there seems to be like this hard cutoff with work-life balance, and you can't blend the two. Right. Harmony is where you can blend the two together seamlessly. And if work spans into your personal life a little bit and takes a little bit more time, it's okay because you have that ebb and flow. Yeah. And it's a lot easier because you're not now living this dual personality where you have to show up one way for work and then you have to show up another way at home, and don't bring your work home with you and don't bring your personal shit into the office place. Right. So like, you know, we're humans. We're not supposed to be like this two-faced being. Yeah. Well, I think that's a great mindset shift. Yeah. Because I mean, I struggled for years. My first few years in business, I started in early 2013, and I struggled for years, just, you know, that work-life balance argument. You know, especially, you know, because I'm also a father first. You know, I've got a son who's 9, you know, now, and I started my business, you know, partially because of him, you know, and so I always had this kind of internal push and pull, and it wasn't until a few years ago that I finally started to kind of shift my mindset into, you know, where it was okay to, you know, work around him or to work, you know, during my personal time, you know, because that's what I'm passionate about. Sure. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a transition that, you know, people need to make if they haven't made it in order to be able to, you know, one, be happy all the time, you know, with, you know, their company and what they're doing. And then 2, you know, be able to succeed as much as possible, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then I know we're getting kind of close to the end here. So, you know, I know we got to probably, you know, cut it short here in a little bit, but I do want to give you an opportunity to at least, you know, share something when it comes to exciting customers, because I know we didn't get a chance to do that. So if you could share maybe just one strong tip on that, that'd be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So elevating the customer experience is the last part of this process. And I think the best thing to do is, so one thing that worked really well for us, you want me to give you just one piece. So many ideas. One is once you have them as a customer, put them into a place where they can share their wins or their struggles with the product that you just sold them, to be a part of something larger, right? So we have what's called the Best Self Alliance. So anyone who purchases one of our products in a follow-up sequence or inside the packaging itself, we say, hey, go to this page to join our community of people just like you. And they're like, oh, wow, that's weird. What we found is now we've curated a group of people who now support each other, who have like-minded interests, and just have like a place to go to feel accepted. And what's interesting is we found that people came in from a product, but now they stay because of the community. And that's a huge piece, because now what that community provides is, one, we can test products quickly. Two, we get customer feedback. Three, customers come to us and they say, hey, I just bought this product from X, Y, and Z company, but I like your guys' brand so much more better. I think you could do this way better than these guys. Nice. Like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about doing that. And it fits perfectly.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So community is huge, it sounds like. Yeah. And, anytime a business can create a community around their brand, around their products, it sounds like it's going to be just massively beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. Well, sounds good, man. Well, let's transition into the last moment here. This is kind of like the bonus round, and this is fairly quick. The challenge here is that with every question that I ask you, you have to answer it with one word only. Okay.
All right. I'll do my best.
All right, man. Here we go. So what caused your biggest e-com success to date?
Focus.
Love it. What got you through your toughest moments as a business owner?
Positivity.
Okay. How would you describe yourself?
Woke.
What'd you say? Woke? Is that what you said? Nice. All right. Well, alert. You're alert. And then how does 2019 look for you?
2019 is going to be crazy. Wait,
crazy?
Am I still supposed to answer just one word?
Yep.
Okay. How's 2019 look for me? Domination.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, how can the audience follow up on this episode, follow you, learn more from you, and, even buy your product?
Sure. If you want to check out our products and reverse engineer what we're doing, just go to bestself.co. If you don't want to reverse engineer it and just want to hear me talk about how we're doing it, just go to my personal site. That's where I pull back the curtain and show you everything that's going on behind the scenes. That's alanbrouwer.com.
Nice.
Or you could just follow me on Facebook.
So with alanbrouwer.com, are you blogging kind of consistently and just, kind of going over your story, your lessons, or just, is this basically your personal branding site essentially?
Yes. Yeah, it is. So this is where I share my teachings of what I found beneficial in growing and scaling a business, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And I don't really blog. I'm not I don't like writing. So I just create videos.
Okay. No, I mean, that's a huge give, man, because you've got so much awesome experience over the past several years that you're now sharing in a channel. I mean, that's a huge, benefit, to the audience and just anybody that goes to that blog and subscribes to it. So yeah, if you're watching this, listening to this, you definitely need to go to alanbrouwer.com. Is that it?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So go to that website, subscribe to his blog, watch his videos, learn from Alan. Obviously, he's tearing it up. He's going to dominate 2019. You heard it here.
Dominate. Yeah.
Well, hey, Alan, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks again for being on E-Commerce All-Stars. It's always a pleasure, having conversations with you. Audience, if you're listening or watching this, you definitely need to follow Alan. Learn more from him. He's got a ton of wisdom to share. He's a super awesome guy, obviously, as you can tell. So, Alan, thanks again for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. Awesome being here.
Thank you for listening to E-Commerce All-Stars. By learning from the best, you're saving yourself time, money, and pain from trying to figure it out all by yourself. You can save yourself time, wasted advertising dollars, and stress from your Facebook ads right now by claiming a copy of Facebook Advertising Trends and Strategies for E-commerce, the 2019 edition. You can generate more results than you've ever experienced with Facebook ads. You can adapt to the current trends happening right now that are affecting business owners from getting the best possible results on Facebook, and you can discover how to scale your Facebook advertising results. All of this is possible for your business by learning from 13 of the best Facebook advertising experts in the world by claiming your copy of Facebook Advertising Trends and Strategies for E-commerce, the 2019 edition. Thanks for listening to E-commerce All-Stars.
E-commerce All-Stars.